would like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by the Dolphin Wars.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV. I am Raymond, author of the Dolphin Wars series of books and ruler of the best pod in YouTube. I apologize for the delay, but you know we...
Oh no.
This is now the Outer Rim Praxeum lightsaber show. Welcome, everybody. We have some great guests. There's King Dolphin, and we have Sandra, along with Lady Malice.
also known as Lady Malice. So it's the from Outer Rim Praxeum. They are a martial art performance team based on the lightsaber forms from Star Wars. And again, I apologize. I don't know why I am buffering so bad, but I've got Sandra as backup out there should I drop off, and the show must go on. So before we
Can't hear a word you're saying.
keep can you talk?
Right now I can hear you. I don't know what's wrong with your mic, but
No, it's not my mic. I keep buffering.
okay, well now we can hear you.
All right. We have the amazing wrench team. We have John Rendell, who's out there. Yes, Gumby is really separating tonight. We've got the first in, the last out. We've got Legion.
Nope, we lost them again.
Right now we have Luda Artemis. Welcome to the chat. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. And I apologize. I do not know what's going on, both to the chat and to you two.
It happens. We are definitely familiar with the technical malfunctions and the speech malfunctions.
Okay, we're back. Hello?
I believe so. Still here.
Okay. Do you guys want to try and continue this?
Up to you.
Yeah, we're up for it.
Okay. All right. Guys, what do you think in the chat? Are you well, I
We can start talking through those first couple of questions if you'd like. Haha, I enjoyed that also. Beating up the Jedi.
Rude.
It's been a long off season. There's been very little violence.
Yeah. So let's get started with questions and stop talking. So we've had you guys on before. You are a troupe, a troupe.
Yep, I think we lost you again, King Dolphin.
Our dog is apparently volunteering to step in the live stream. That is Shay Vizsla, named after the Mandalorian from the Old Republic games.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh,
We can hear you, Sandra.
Okay, good. I don't know what's wrong with his mic. He's dropping off again.
No, it's not my mic. It's StreamYard's. It's my.
Yep, King Dolphin froze again.
Yeah, he's frozen again. Why don't you go ahead and just start answering the questions?
So I'll start. My name is Jeff. I go by General Atin, as my label says. I play Jedi Guardian, similar to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin before he turned to the dark side. I've been with the group for over 7 years now, approaching 8 years in August, and I've been the director for over 4 years now, leading the group. It's been a great honor, so definitely been enjoying it. So I'm going to let Lady Malice introduce herself while I go have a word with Shay Vizsla.
So a little bit about me. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, aka the 1990s, I saw episode 5 for the first time. My family and I were living in the Philippines doing mission work, so it was a little bit of American culture that I got to experience and really enjoyed. Episode 1 came out when I was 10, and I just absolutely fell in love with Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul and was just hardcore obsessed with Star Wars. From then on, my parents would bribe me to do homework with action figures. When I was 10, I created the Star Wars persona that would become Lady Malice, originally named Teshka, which is the name I go by in real life now also. See what else. I play Lady Malice, who's a Sith assassin, a low aggression, highly defensive fighting style.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys at the Comic-Con at the Martinsburg Library, and we watched a couple of your videos. It's really cool. How long does it take you to learn how to do that?
It really depends on how much time you're willing to put into it. Having some natural athletic ability or theatrical ability helps. We've been doing this each for about 7 years. I would say it takes maybe 2 to 3 years to become an advanced duelist. But within a year, you can already start participating in the majority of what we do.
Nice. All right. So I like to sew. I make costumes. When we go to the Ren Fair, I make our garb. I did some theatrical costuming in college. How do you decide to make your costumes? Is there a specific pattern you follow, or do you make it up yourself?
It depends from person to person. One of the things that's really important to us is that we kind of accommodate all skill levels, all financial resource levels. So we're fairly flexible in if people want to make a costume, if they want to buy a costume, if they want to just find something at Goodwill and modify it. I personally made my costume for a costume contest 7 years ago when I was trying to decide if I was going to go more of the cosplay costuming route or if I wanted to join this lightsaber group that I just heard about. My stuff personally is heavily influenced by the official costuming groups. So you're seeing the obies, the tabards, the different layered tunics, and that kind of thing. Other people try to create something a little bit more unique that looks maybe a little bit more steampunk, a little bit more Renaissance fair. So it's a cool way to kind of show your personality through your costume. And part of the performance that we put on is having distinct fighting styles and distinct costumes and distinct personalities from each other.
I just bought mine from a website. I went simple and then modified it to kind of fit my body.
You have to be able to move easily with your costumes on while you're doing your maneuvers. Legatus Legion, I wants to know if, Lady Malice, were you ever a dancer?
Other than one really unfortunate babysitting experience where I had to put on a mouse costume to be on stage to watch a kid during a ballet recital, no.
You commented about your moves. You look like you might be a trained dancer.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't have any type of like martial arts or dance background or anything like that, but I have tried to be very deliberate in my movements on stage, even something as simple as I don't know what to do with my offhand when I'm using a one-handed form, so I very deliberately try to like kind of a sweeping motion to keep it out of the way. The style that I do practice is very footwork heavy. So a lot of like shifting your weight back and forth, taking big steps to flank your opponent and that kind of thing.
Thank you. Legatus now asks, with your tournament, for both of you, with all your tournaments, bouts, and exhibitions, do you keep an official or unofficial count of wins, losses, draws, and what would the scorecard be like?
We do. So I don't know if General Atin Cal is able to pull up an image to show us.
Yep.
But,
give me one moment.
We currently do kind of a baseball style average. So I think I right now have a 0.619% in official matches. So a ratio of wins to losses. Basically, I've won about 6 out of 10 of every match. We have a lot of different fighting styles. So some tournaments go in and they're just who gets the first hit. We have ones that are who can get the most hits in a certain period of time. And then we have others that are a little bit more theatrical. So are you keeping the audience entertained? Are you throwing in some more LARPy wild cards to kind of mix things up? Is your costume on point? Are you incorporating props and that kind of thing?
That sounds good. Cool. There's a lot of that goes into what you're doing. John Rendell wants to know about any safety gear you use when you're training or an actual demonstration. Is there anything that you use that protects you from getting broken fingers, broken nose, concussion, any of those wonderful fun things that go along with active stage combat?
So we actually don't use protective gear. Some of us we do wear like paintball gloves to help protect the fingers. So, but other than that, we push the control to make sure no one's getting hurt. So, other than that, there is no safety gear. We do highly recommend using tennis shoes, not open toe shoes or heels, just because that's safety. So we do have some safety guidelines on what you can and can't have, but otherwise there's no actual gear.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be safe in heels anyway. I would fall off them after like 2 steps. I'm a klutz.
All right. Can you guys?
Welcome back,
okay.
King Dolphin.
Yes, I'm on mobile.
Mhm.
All right, so I've asked the questions that are in the chat, my dear. So it's all back to you.
Thank you.
Don't
Thank
make me do it again.
We did have a question about a scorecard. We haven't actually released the scorecards yet, but I am giving you guys an exclusive preview. We can get that approved.
Yeah, if you can go ahead and share the screen, hon. I don't have that power.
I don't think I do on mobile. You guys may just go to present.
Yeah, I think it's waiting for confirmation.
I got it.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh, cool.
And this was done by Lady Malice. And you can see we don't have a season average yet because our blade match for 2023 hasn't started yet. We're going to be starting that in a few weeks at HerdCon. That'll be coming up at the end of March. But you can see my career average. We kind of stole some baseball scoring system. So if you had a 1, then you never lost. As you can see, I'm about a 78%. And then there's...
That's not a bad average.
And then there's Lady Malice as well.
Okay.
So you can see she's got more wins than losses. So she's still doing pretty good. But these were both done by Lady Malice and her talented and hard work.
Nice.
Well, Legatus has another question. Is it fun yet controlled mayhem? You guys seem to really enjoy it when we were watching you perform.
Oh, very much so. We love crowd interaction. We love it when people cheer for us, when they boo for us. During one of our performances at Kazakon, one of my favorite stories to tell was I was fighting Lady Malice, and I had the entire crowd just boo me because they were all in favor of Lady Malice, and I just loved it. I played it up. Even though I'm the Jedi, I became the villain to the crowd, and that's what it's about, is getting the crowd to love you and to hate the other person. And using some wrestling terms, the face in the hill, and Lady Malice for that fight became the face real quick.
Okay, cool. So, Lady Malice, how did you get? Now that I'm back up again, guys, I apologize totally, but it seems like mobile is the best thing for me right now. Lady Malice, how did you start with the troupe?
So it was in 2015. I went to my very first Comic-Con, which is a local one nearby, West Virginia PopCon. And the person who had founded the Praxeum was giving his very first public demonstration of what he was planning to do. He'd been trained by another group from the Ashland, Kentucky area, the Imperial Legion, and they came up and did a little panel, kind of showed off the forms. I attended since I was a big Star Wars fan. And they followed me after the panel was over because they saw my costume. We're like, hey, you should come and join this group. And I was just like, all right, these 3 weird guys are just like following me around, asking to take a picture with me. One of them is actually a really good friend now, who Samir, who's a member of the Imperial Legion. But at the time, it was just like, oh, this is weird, but it's attention. One of them found me on Facebook and kept following up, like, hey, you really need to join this lightsaber group. You'd be really great for it.
Stalking.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit of stalking.
So I finally decided for my New Year's resolution going into 2016, I was either going to go with the official Star Wars costuming groups, or I was going to go with the lightsaber groups. I ended up deciding on the lightsaber group because it had the added bonus of getting really good exercise from the training. So I met the leader in a parking lot at a dark park and got into his car and drove to a city that I'd never been to before and met Jeff and the other members there.
Okay. And now a beautiful relationship.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Now we've got the hard-hitting question from our official hedgehog. What is your guys' favorite cookie?
I have to go with definitely a little torn with chocolate chip or Oreo.
Ooh, Oreos, yummy.
But if it's gonna be chocolate chip, it can't be like the Chips Ahoy where it's all crunchy. It needs to be a nice soft chocolate chip cookie, like right out of the oven, nice and gooey.
Okay, great. And you, Lady Malice?
I don't discriminate against desserts and enjoy all things, but anything with peanut butter.
Ooh, peanut butter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, peanut butter's not. I'm not a big peanut butter fan, but I don't discriminate with peanut butter either. Okay. Welcome to Luna Artemis. Welcome to Pierre Kelly, Stuart Mitchell, Pudgy the Hedgehog, and welcome all to the chat. I apologize again, and I'll probably keep apologizing until we get through this. Let's see.
Hello there, everyone.
Yes. And welcome Phantom Outsider. He says, borrowing from Deadpool, a little light stalking.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I was interested to hear what on Legatus's question about your dance training, if you had dance training, or is it just strictly martial arts training, or what training brought you into the troupe?
I was not a very athletic child growing up. I did little bits of things here and there. I did a little bit of ROTC in college. So no formal dance training or martial arts training. But we do focus really heavily on footwork, especially for the lightsaber forms that I practice. So maybe that's where some of that's coming through.
Okay. All right. Let's see, guys. Ask your questions. Have I missed any? I know Sandra has. Legatus Legioni says combining baseball and wrestling, heels versus babyface. That's an interesting concept. Let's see. I'm looking for any current other questions. Come on, guys. Now, you talked about your charitable work before, General. What has that expanded any, or can you tell us more about it for those that have not? Not seen you guys before.
So that is one of the things that we try and do is give back to our community, and one of those ways was to raise money for the West Virginia Children's Hospital, since it is a local hospital that's in our neck of the woods. Last year we raised 127% of our goal, so we
Nice.
definitely went above and beyond last year. We're looking at hopefully increasing our goal this year and still blowing that out of the water. We do have someone that's dedicated to the fundraising goal this year, so a lot more focus and attention can be thrown on it than previous years. We're looking at adding even more events this year, so even a wider audience, getting the word out. Trying to find my notes on it. We definitely love working with libraries as well as a way to give back to the community as well. So we're already in talks with Morgantown Public Library again.
Okay.
They've absolutely loved us, and we actually have an honorary member there because she was one of the first people that gave us our first event, which was a Star Wars Day at the library. So if you go there, look for the Jedi librarian, Bonnie. She's been a huge fan. Our first event was supposed to be at the movie theaters for episode 7, doing a demonstration out in the lobby and inside the theater itself, which was really cool. And when her son, who was lining us up for the event, he told his mom about it, and she stole that first event from underneath him and got us at the library. So But she's been a huge fan, and we love working with libraries. They've been pretty great because they are already doing a lot of children outreach over the summer. So it's a way we can go to see the kids through the library. Library gets the crowds, we get the interactions with the kids. Kids get to swing lightsabers, so everyone wins there.
Ooh, yeah.
So we love it.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. John Rendell asks, in fencing training in my youth, we did several warm-up stretches and exercises. Do you guys do that?
Keep looking at General to see which one of us is going to answer questions. We
go ahead, either
actually
one.
do a different type of warm up. We do a lot of improv alongside of our performances. So a lot of our practices, we do improvisational warm up exercises like word association, yes and things like that, just to kind of get the creative juices going. Because just like our dueling, all of our trash talk is like 95% unchoreographed.
Okay. All right. And then let's see. Legatus. Is it always just Jedi versus Sith, or do you also have some Jedi versus Jedi and Sith versus Sith matches?
Oh, we do. It's everyone for themselves usually. So in the blade match system. So we've had Jedis taking on Jedis. I've taken on my apprentices, and we've had Sith take on their masters. One of our combatants that some of you may know is Lord Diablo Crava, and a lot of his themes when he was fighting talked about fighting against his master and proving his worth, that he can become a lord to his master, who was Lady Malice. So some people bring that into the arena, some people don't talk about it. But yeah, we have Jedis taking on Jedis, Jedis taking on Sith, Sith fighting Jedis, and Sith fighting Sith. When it's a blade match, you're there for yourself, and you got to take it on whoever's against you.
Okay, and I'm going to add a little. I'm going to touch on that question. Do you do like battle royals?
We do them behind the scenes at practice. We haven't quite figured out how to do them for an audience, just because of like space requirements and safety, just because there's a lot more possibilities of collisions or somebody stepping out of the arena towards an audience member. We're currently playtesting a 2 versus 2 public match style, but the last time we tried it, there were some physical collisions, there were some confusions, so it gets a little bit more complicated.
Okay. All right. And Luna New.
Hi, Luna.
Asks, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Thin Mints.
Thin Mints?
All other answers are wrong.
How about you, General?
I only know Thin Mints because that's what I hear from everyone, but otherwise, I don't know very many Girl Scout cookies. Girl Scouts don't approach me.
Okay.
It might be because I'm a Jedi, so they are assuming that, Jedis don't get the cookies. Maybe the Girl Scouts are dark side.
The Thin Mints are the best.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Pudgy says, if everyone was kung fu fighting, Pudgy, if everyone was kung fu fighting, which guest's kick were as fast as lightning?
That would be General Atin Cal. I don't do all that jumping around nonsense. It's a waste of energy.
Okay.
But we look cool doing it.
Let's see. And Phantom Outsider asks, is telekinesis encouraged or discouraged during duels?
Strongly encouraged. One thing that makes us a little bit different from other lightsaber groups is we include force powers. So everything is still balanced. There are strict rules about when you can use them, how you can use them, and how they interact. but it gives each of our classes something that's unique to them. So me as a Sith assassin has different force abilities to use than someone who might be a Sith warrior or a Sith marauder. So you'll see people putting each other in force bubbles. You'll see some chokes, people getting thrown across the room, and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. John Rendo asks, are there groups or events in Pennsylvania that they can go see that you participate in?
Yes. We have been to Waynesburg for the Toy and Comic Expo. We're going to be talking with them again, seeing if we can come back again. We're waiting to hear back from Slippery Rock Public Library because they've done a Comic-Con in previous years, and we're waiting to hear to see if they're continuing that or not. There are a couple other that we're looking at that we're going to be hopefully contacting soon and seeing if we can get in or not. Each con has their own set of rules, and some places will give us a table for free, some charge us, which is fine too. So we're looking at some options. I know a few people have asked us about Steel City Con, but they're not one of the cons we're looking at just because they are more celebrity oriented than having other groups doing panels and such. Like some of the more major cons or smaller cons. So there are different types of cons. I didn't realize this early on, that there's a lot of variations of cons. So we're definitely looking at some options, and we're going to be looking towards the Pittsburgh area since that's closer to us. I know there is a Jedi Temple, I think it is. One of the Lucasfilm recognized temples that is in the Pennsylvania area, and they're out towards Harrisburg. So you can definitely find a lightsaber route somewhere, but we're looking.
All right. Legatus asks, let's see. Legatus asks, what day do you both consider Star Wars Day? This is a good question. May the 4th or May 25th?
Whatever day people book us to perform can be Star Wars Day.
Every day is Star Wars Day.
Yes.
We celebrate Star Wars all the time.
We usually get more bookings for May the 4th, especially if it's on a weekend. And we've kind of a standing arrangement at a local bar and brewery where we'll go and perform for beer on Star Wars Day.
Nice. Nice. All right. Looking here. Okay.
Do you ever have trouble with your lightsabers coming apart when you're fighting?
Yeah. That's usually a me problem.
We've had a few blades come flying out before, so we are trying to be safety conscious. So we do try and make sure blades are tight, make sure electronics work. But sometimes things happen. There's only so much you can prepare for, but yeah, we've had a few malfunctions before.
Okay. Let's see. So Green Quills. Green Quills Vids. Welcome to the chat. You mentioned the forms you use. How did you develop these forms, or are they based on real sword forms?
We actually have a whole panel about this topic if you come to one of the shows where we're presenting. But I'll let the general talk more about that since that's his panel topic.
So our forms actually came from another lightsaber group called the Imperial Legion. That's where our founder came from. So they've been practicing, and it's been passed down since as far back as we've been able to track since episode 1. The forms are based off the Star Wars universe, our interpretation. So there's the Form 1, Chicho, where everyone learns, and then you start seeing some deviation, and like the Makashis, where Count Dooku was a user of. So that's in our system we use Sith only have it. But then in some Jedi forms, you see Stressu, which you see Kenobi using. There's Ataru, which Yoda used during his jumps and spins, and Qui-Gon with the close range against Darth Maul. There's Xian and Gemso. You see Anakin is probably the biggest user of Xian and Gemso. You can actually see him becoming more of a Gemso user if you watch the Clone Wars TV series. He starts off as Xian to deflect blaster bolts and everything, but then you start seeing him becoming more of a Gemso user as he's fighting more and more people with lightsabers. There's Nimin, which Darth Maul would be the big user for that. It's more geared towards staff users. And then there's also Juyo. Juyo is a very aggressive form. Darth Maul is another user of that. And Vapod, which makes Windu develop. Not other Jedis really use Vapod because those kind of get into some dark side temptations. So they all have their own katas. They all look differently. Even though, like, a good example is Xian and Gemso are sister forms. Xian is very more lightsaber outward, and Gemso is very lightsaber backwards when you're doing the slashes. That's probably what you see a lot of kids doing is the Xian and Gemso, where they just, hack and slash. But each one has their own strengths, their own weaknesses. It's a delicate balance system. Makashi was a bit overpowered by itself, so we did kind of split it up into 6 different variations, where the odd numbers are two-handed, the single, or the even numbers are one-handed, because you have control versus range now. You would see Dooku is very much of a Makashi 2 user in our system, with the one-handed fencing style. 3 and 4 is more of our stabbing. So Palpatine is a good example. And then 5 and 6, what Lady Malice uses, is pretty much the reverse of 1 and 2, where it's just a reverse grip. In the advanced systems, it starts getting to the slashes that you see Ahsoka use, though.
Okay.
So there is definitely the martial art aspect behind it. And if you come to one of our panels, I definitely dive a lot more into it. And
Okay.
it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Trevor Sprouse asks, what lightsaber form was the hardest to learn? I'll ask both of you on that, so you can each give your perspective.
Let Lady Malice start, or unless she needs time to think.
Any of the forms that you don't use regularly end up being the hardest. Right now, I'm trying to master Form 5 Xian, which is probably the form with the most flexibility in it. You can just do a lot more feints, and you can do a lot more combinations. And that is not my fighting style whatsoever. I like tight little taps and strikes that are pinpointed to hit you where you're open, whereas Xian has lots of big athletic moves and spins. So I find that particularly challenging.
Okay. Let's see.
What's funny is I would actually say Xian is the hardest, because even after I've been learning it for 7 years, a little bit more than 7 years, and I'm still figuring out new techniques with it. It's still evolving under my control. Because when I first learned it, I was like, this is stupid, it's a waste of energy. And then I finally clicked, and I've been figuring out how to use it, how to manipulate the blade, to get those strikes. So the form that is always the hardest is the one that you're always learning about it, and Xian is I'm still figuring things out. I'm teaching Lady Malice how to use it. I've been teaching other people how to use Xian, and while teaching them, I'm like, oh, hey, you can even do this. Didn't know that before, so
Okay.
it's ever evolving.
Good. Let's see. I see there's a lot of cookie talk going on in the chat here. Awesome. Legatus asks, for the role of ringmaster, are they called a guardian of the wills, or what term is used?
So we're boring and we just say MC, but I really like that, and that might get stolen.
Legatus will make talk to Legatus on that. Let's see. All right, Legatus asks, for most shows, exhibitions, what is the usual troop size, and what is the most you've had for one show?
So the smallest we've had is 4 people. That was definitely the size that we were back in the day. Now that we've grown, we've gone to 10 people for a show.
Okay.
Any more than that, and people start tripping over each other. There's just a lot more confusion because there's more ears that need to listen to instructions and everything. So we probably won't go above 10, other than some special occasions that we're looking at a couple. But yeah, we try and keep it around no more than 10, just because of communication purposes.
Okay. All right. And Luna New, again, welcome to the chat. She asks, what's the lightsaber recommendation?
It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing more flow stuff, if you're doing full combat, if you're doing cosplay, there's going to be a lot of different things that you want to look at. This is something that's kind of always evolving because we want our members to get the best weapon that works for them, but that's still affordable, that still doesn't have any safety concerns like the boxes from the original series lightsabers. Painful, not practical for combat whatsoever. Hashtag not sponsored. I use Ultra Sabers. They were one of the first companies to start putting out combat grade lightsabers, and it's a little bit controversial now just because there's so many other options out there, so many newer, fancier types of electronics. But Ultra Sabers has worked really well for me. It's just kind of simple, it's sturdy. All of the stereotypes about needing to master your weapon and only your weapon is going to work as well in your hand are true, because it will completely throw you off if you try to go out there and duel with somebody else's lightsaber hilt.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Charlotte says Game Masters in the North Hills area is a great place to play. Cobalt Bald Eagle asks, how much money or alcohol would it take to do sequel trilogy fights?
So it's actually interesting because the scene where Rey is training against the big rock outcrop and she's doing kind of staff moves with a lightsaber is almost identical to our Shicho kata. So we're like, oh, that looks super familiar when the movies came out.
Okay. Faye Norton, and welcome Faye to the chat.
Hi.
What is the meaning behind the different colors of lightsabers?
In our system, you have blue, green, purple, and yellow. Those are the different Jedi classes that we have. So purple is a martyr, very much like Mace Windu. Blue, guardians like Obi-Wan. Green, consular, just like Yoda and Qui-Gon. And yellow is more sentinels, so kind of like the Jedi Temple Guards, or in lore, probably Quinlan Voss, kind of the people. For the Sith, we have red because they're the bad guys. Everyone knows that, hey, you see a red lightsaber, that's a Sith, that's a bad guy. So we kept it simple. That's just the system we adopted when the group was first created. So.
Lady Malice, I'm going to ask this one. I saw your makeup Do you apply all that yourself, or do you have somebody do it? Because it looks pretty intricate.
Well, thank you. I think I've. Can you see the picture of it for those who haven't seen
Grows
the
it.
outfit
Yeah,
before?
yeah. Hold on a second. Let me solo layout. There you go.
She actually grows her horns. Or not makeup. She trims them every night.
Yep, I pop them out right before con. Yeah, I do it myself. It's putting on the makeup is kind of like putting on a mask for me. I'm not an outgoing person whatsoever, so that process helps me to like get into the mindset of being my character. But it takes maybe about half an hour for everything between hair and makeup, so it's really not too bad in comparison to other people who might do like a whole Twi'lek character or a Togruta character and are doing full face paint.
Okay. So that's your way to get into your role.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Going to the questions. Okay. Luna New asks, how much does the average lightsaber weigh? In comparison, long swords are about 2.5 to 3 pounds.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to weigh. They're not excessively heavy, but enough that you could do some damage if you were going after somebody without control. I don't know, maybe like the 3-pound range, Jeff, would you say?
Never actually weighed mine.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be less because most of the weight's in the hill.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe 1 to 2.
Okay. Now, do you, on your lightsaber itself, you got the hilt, and then obviously you have an artificial something to simulate the blade. Where are the electronics in the hilt or within the blade itself?
So we exclusively use what's called a baselit lightsaber hilt. There are other options, usually called like Xenopixel, Pixel, Neopixel, where the LEDs are actually in the blade itself. The downside of that is it's a lot more likely for the LEDs to become damaged when you're doing a full contact dueling. And technology is always improving. So by this time next year, we may have made the switch. But just because it's a little bit fancier of a blade, it's a little bit more expensive, we usually stick with the baselit just for cost effectiveness. But we do have day blades. So instead of it being that white translucent blade that you normally see, we might have a red blade or a blue painted blade if we're doing a daytime event, just so people can still kind of see what type of Jedi and who's a Sith and that kind of thing.
Okay. So the blades themselves, are colored. The lights will be, or are the LEDs colored as well?
The LED itself is usually what's colored, and you can have a colored blade also. But it's a little bit easier to do like your reds and your blues versus like a purple or a yellow, just because you start getting into having multiple LEDs in the hilts. That might be outdated information just because I haven't updated my lightsabers very much in the 7 years I've been doing this, and technology is always improving.
Oh, okay. And getting expensive.
Yeah.
Legatus asks, what is more exhausting mentally and physically? Being constantly on the offensive or constantly on the defensive?
For me personally, it's on the offense because the offense is supposed to be the focus of the show. So you're supposed to be the one that's looking fancier. So that's where I do a lot of my jumps and spins and quick slashes. So it's more exhausting physically on offense. Mentally, I would say on defense because you need to have that quick reaction time to block your opponent. And depending on how fast your opponent is, that can be just like you're mentally having to watch where the blade's going quickly. Or you get some opponents that, like Lady Malice, that just stalk you and then does a quick snap. You just have to be mentally prepared for that. All right, when is she striking? When is she striking? Up, there's a twitch. I'm freaking out. So, yeah, physically, I would say on offense. Mentally, would be defense.
And how about you, Lady Malice?
Exact opposite.
Ooh.
Since I'm a more defensive duelist, when I'm on offense, I can take my time and I know I have control of the duel because we have a turn-based system for the sake of flashiness where you can attack and defend at the same time. Whereas defending, you're desperately trying not to die, especially when I'm fighting that one. I don't want him to beat me again with his higher blade match career average.
Okay. Faye mentions a few years ago I attended a class they had. It was more involved and physical than I thought it would be, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a really fun event. We were up at WVU with our Star Wars club. We usually try to make it there once or twice a year.
Okay.
When are you coming back? When are you coming back, Faye Norton?
Are you both WVU alumni?
No, we just got connected with them. I think it was through one of the official costuming groups because the Star Wars Club sponsor, Matt, is a member of the Rebel Legion and the Imperial,
The
the
501st.
501st, yeah, for the area.
Okay.
So I think we maybe met him at a con and just got connected.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that first conversation happened, but
Snoopy. We have the Jedi dog making his presence known. Okay. Legatus says you can borrow it indefinitely. You're staying. You're the same.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see. I definitely noticed it much more cardio than the other sword forms that I've done that are more about strength.
That's definitely an interesting difference with lightsaber combat. Our styles try to mimic as much as possible the fact that a lightsaber's blade is weightless since it's just plasma. So there is a lot more speed and a lot more movement, I would say. I don't have experience with other sword forms, so I don't really have a way to compare that, though.
Okay. Sandra says the only swords I've used were broadsword, rapiers.
One of these days, I'll try to take like a SCA class or a HEMA class or something as a point of reference.
Okay.
Sounds like we need to get you out for a lightsaber.
Did you hear that? She heard that. I have not seen her joust / duel, so I'm taking her word for it, but she has some very large blades, so I don't bother her too much. Sandra is definitely a person, when she tries something, she does it all out and does it very well. So she would probably have fun. Okay. Phantom Outsider asks, has anyone while dueling brought in a polar bear as a trump card?
Not a
Asking
polar
for-
bear, but I once did a lightsaber tournament where I ran around with Baby Yoda and my opponent tried to steal him from me.
Okay.
Don't forget about the chair.
That's true. I've also gone after people with the steel chair in lightsaber matches.
Ooh, the steel chair. Ooh. Let's see. We don't discuss Jedi bears. And Pudgy asks, if a person loses a duel, do they have to buy the cookies?
We kill them and then we use their leftover money to buy the cookies.
Oh, okay. All right. Of course, King Dolphin TV is always about the food. Besides cookies, what are the favorite foods for Jedis and Siths?
Like the emoji says, pizza.
Pizza?
Never go wrong.
Never. How about you, Lady Malice?
Something really energy efficient. You got like a protein shake, a granola bar, perfectly attuned to your nutritional needs.
All right. Sensing a cookie theme in the chat tonight. Of course there is.
I'm gonna be hungry after this.
Of course, we're always this way. Pudgy has a cheese knife, knows how to use it. You better be good at. Oh, Pudgy, the kitty table is closed tonight. If you've ever gone, check out the Just Cousin. You know what we do, what we talk about when we mean the kitty table. Let's see. You both mentioned fighting styles and training in new ones. You don't use one regular. If you don't use one regularly or have not used one in some time, do you have to retrain in it?
There's definitely rust sometimes you have to knock off if you don't practice with it regularly. For the most part, each combatant has so many forms that they can have as a combat form. So usually once you've learned it, you're going to use it at some point. We do fundamentals as well to make sure you run through your forms, you test them out, make sure you still have control, make sure you remember the katas. And once you get a high enough rank, you do become a master. So you usually have to train future students in those forms. So it's always good to stay in practice of the forms that you have learned. So that way you can pass it on to the next generation.
Okay. Okay. And of course, John Randall has to say, "Gouda for you, Pudgy." Sif probably like pineapple pizza or clam. Ugh.
I would try clam pizza. I enjoy my seafood.
Such a Sith thing to say.
Sith probably like pineapple pizza or clam pizza. So Mark D with a C is probably a Sith. He's another YouTuber. Good guy. Let's see. Now I'm going to ask about the lightsabers. What if I'm about to start becoming? I probably won't because I'm old and out of shape. But if I were to go
I'll cut
for
you
a
off right there. You are not too old. One of our oldest members just turned 50.
I'm older than that.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Everyone can join sometime.
But I'm yeah, okay. But if I were to look for a lightsaber, where is the best place to go, and what is the least, and what would go the most?
You want simple for your hilt. So there are companies out there that make lightsabers specifically for full combat. I'm not too up with all of the who's all active right now, just because lightsaber creation tends to be kind of a like niche artisan type thing. So a lot of people will like pop in and out based on their family life or their regular paying jobs. But I use Ultra Sabers just because they have fairly simple hilts. The cheaper the hilt, honestly, the better it is going to be for dueling because you don't want any little pokey things. You don't want your special LED lights that are just going to drain your battery or anything like that. Any what we call a hero hilt, so anything that's modeled after a movie lightsaber, Luke, Vader, is not going to be good for dueling just because they're designed to be a lot fancier. So there's things to think about too based on your fighting style. So if you're going more fencing, then it's really important to have an ergonomic shape for your hands. If you're doing something that's more acrobatic, the weight might be really important, just something that works well for you. So we actually tell people not to run out and buy a lightsaber hilt right away, just because you want to kind of figure out what you're interested in and then buy based on that.
Okay.
And another thing to think about is some people like shorter hilts, some people like longer hilts. There's thinner style hilts, there's wider style hilts. So there's a lot of customization when it comes to what your fighting style is and what you're learning.
Do you want to show the ones that you have on your desk currently?
So I've got an Ultra Sabers Overlord right here. It's a bit wider than some of my other hilts. I don't use this one because, as I learned, it's too wide for my taste. And then this one's more of a display piece because it's a fancier one, but it's a there we go, Green Ranger based hilt.
You might have to hold it in front of your face so the green screen doesn't take it.
Yeah, the green screen's still in me.
Hand it to me here. I can hold it.
Yeah.
There we go. If I hold it sideways.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like these little knobs here at the top wouldn't be allowed in our system. So that's why it's more of a display piece. And it's got a thinner neck, so it can't handle the 1-inch blades that we use either.
Okay. And so usually how much do these run? I mean, from the cheapest to the break your bank type.
You could get a solid lightsaber for between $80 and $100. Something that's
Okay.
not like bottom of the barrel, but it's simple, no special features. There are a lot more options now than when we started doing this, just because
Okay.
the hobby has grown so much.
Let me ask a question. Are all of these licensed to keep the mouse away from getting their paws on the hobby places?
A lot of places don't call them lightsabers, so that's how they get around it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there'll be a lot of like LED saber, that kind of thing in the descriptions.
Okay.
And then it won't be like the Qui-Gon lightsaber. It'll be the, I don't know, the green soldier lightsaber, that kind of thing.
Okay. So they do some verbal jousting to keep away from the
Yeah.
rights. When
and
one starts,
for most expensive lightsabers, it's how much you want to spend.
Yeah, they can run into several thousands.
Yeah.
The really fancy ones.
Gotcha. When one starts, do they usually have a preferred style? Is it often that they change to a new style? Have you changed yours, and if so, how often?
So for style, it depends if you're a Jedi or Sith. Some classes are geared towards different styles. And to get your class, we give like a personality quiz at the very beginning to kind of gear you towards a specific class, but you can change it at the beginning. But usually, like an assassin is going to be more defensive styles instead of the aggressive styles. Whereas me as a guardian, like I do come out kind of strong, do come out kind of heavy. But then there's the Jedi Martyr who's even more aggressive than me. When I first started, I was more defensive. But as I became more proficient in other forms, I became more offensive too. So we do have some like defensive guardians and offensive guardians. There will be some aggressive assassins and like Lady Malice, more defensive assassins. So a lot of it's just the personality, your abilities, your athletic system. So that does change, and as you do learn more forms, we have seen some people change systems too.
Okay. One thing I noticed on the videos and on the when I saw them out there, when I saw you guys at Martinsburg, Lady Malice, you definitely don't. You have a kick-ass your persona there.
Thank you.
It's like, okay, she's smiling here. Oh wow.
My therapist says that Lady Malice is me with healthy boundaries.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Scrolling.
I also do change my style often because I don't always fight with the staff.
Okay. Fame Norton asks, how many hours a week do you practice? And has anyone ever broken a lightsaber during a fight?
We practice roughly 4 to 5 hours a week. And yes, we've had broken lightsabers during fights. You actually see me at, I want to say it was JediCon 2022, where one of my blades broke because I dropped my lightsaber and the tip popped off. So I went from a staff to a single blade just because kind of had to. So I mean, those things do happen. Like we say, we try and prepare, but there's only so much you can prepare for. So sometimes we bring some extra blades too.
All right. And I imagine that you need a person knowledgeable in first aid, because I imagine there are some bruisings and bumpings on this. Who's your first aid expert?
We've actually been really fortunate that we haven't had anything beyond like a kind of a knot on your head. I had a black eye one time, just because we do train really hard in pulling our strikes. So when something hits you, it should never be more than a tap.
Oh, okay.
If anything, I feel like the most common injury is getting your hand cut on like the edge of your lightsaber or something.
All right. Okay. Pudgy hugs all new friends who arrive for the show, then hugs everyone hugged already. Aw.
But Pudgy is pokey.
Yeah.
Danger hugs.
Yes.
Looks more fluffy.
Yeah. We heard of a timeout when a lightsaber had technical issues. But if your saber loses its battery power, is it game over for that user, or are they allowed to change batteries? That's a good question.
We have had people switch out lightsabers. Some of our duelists do have more than one. Sometimes someone will lend the duelist their lightsaber so that way they can continue the fight. We usually try and find ways to continue the fight without having to go, tough luck. Sometimes people do bring extra batteries too, so.
If it was up to me, people would be publicly shamed. They've brought dishonor onto themselves by not taking care of their weapon.
But that doesn't make a good show.
But that's the Sith in you. Let's see. Cobalt says, Purple Thunder Star sword for Space Wizard. Hello, Point Curation. How are you, sir? Popping in to wish everyone well. Let's see. He says, playing through Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight now. Controls, not so good, but game is great. Do you use Star Wars themed games to get inspiration or help with your skills?
I wouldn't say very much, just because we tend to be very strict in what a lightsaber form is supposed to look like. There are a lot of rules about exactly what types of strikes you can do, exactly what types of blocks that you can do. So I would say we've used stuff like that as an inspiration more for the times where we do have a little choreographed bit, but not so much for the actual forms.
Okay.
We'll sometimes take like maybe storyline or quotes from the game, just because it helps to relate to the audience, and it goes, "Oh, hey, I know that line."
Yeah, people like it when you say stuff like, "I have a bad feeling about this." Everyone's like, "Oh, she said a Star Wars."
Let's see. Quinine Jin, lightsaber for fighting the Malarians. Let's see. Whoa, I guess this Trevor spouse knows you.
Yeah.
General Atin call. How is your nose?
There's still a scar. Back in, what year was that? 2017, maybe 2016. We were down at Sapazicon when they were still in Huntington, West Virginia, and we were dueling a duel outside, and I was fighting a fellow named Darth Karakami, and me and him were taking on another opponent, and he swung his lightsaber, and you can actually see in the video him smacking me along my nose, and you just see my
Ow.
head go back and pop back up and continue the fight.
Oh.
I was so glad when I was finally stabbed, because I'm just like, if you've ever had your nose smacked by a basketball, that's what it felt like. But like you just had to keep going for the show. And I'm like, I don't even know if it's bleeding or not. Let's just keep going. I finally got stabbed. I'm like, okay, I'm dead. I'm just laying down. So there's still a scar here. Thanks.
Wow.
Thanks for asking. I'm glad you know our history.
Let's see. Faye Norton asks, 50 is your oldest member. What's the youngest age you can join?
So we do allow 16 and 17-year-olds with extra rules related to that. We go 16 just because we figure if you're responsible enough in theory to drive, we figure you should be responsible enough to show up to practice. We have stuff just for our own protection and for a minor's protection where they may need to have a parent or guardian attend with them. They need to get their own accommodation for overnight events and that kind of thing, just to make sure everything is above board, everything stays professional and safe. We don't have very many younger students join, I think just because of, it's like we talked about before, it's a pretty big time commitment with all the hours of training. So it's usually people who are a little older and are looking for things to fill their time.
Okay. Especially like since you do community service stuff too. That's a
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to costumes, must they all be first used in a dress rehearsal setting, or have you surprised people or the troupe by showing up into the event in something new? Ooh.
I'd say our experienced duelists have kind of shown up in new things. Like I actually had a full wedding outfit commissioned that I'll perform in sometimes, and it was just my same cosplay but fancy. So that was something I could just kind of show up and duel in. But for the most part, people do a lot of play testing along the way. We have one member who's trying to do a Togruta, so the species of Ahsoka Tano, and she has both the Montrals on top and then the Leku coming down and then full face paint. So she is always coming to practice like, oh, I'm play testing this way of keeping the headdress on. Oh, it's still slipping. I'm going to kind of rework some stuff and come back and make sure it is working. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes related to that. And then we're pretty strict with changes. So the way we describe it is if you were watching a kid's cartoon and those characters went swimming or went to a ball or some other setting, they're probably going to be wearing their same colors. They're probably going to be wearing outfits that look consistent, just so that way people can recognize them even if they're in a different outfit. So we do the same thing where somebody shouldn't show up wearing green and then the next day they're wearing orange and then they're showing up in a dress and then they're showing up in a jumpsuit, because we're trying to build the fan recognition, the character stereotypes, so people can be like, oh yeah, I like that person because of their outfit, and then stick with them.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to embarrass Legatus Legionnaire with this. Yes, I am. You know that was Legatus Legionnaire trying to find out if he could show up on his pants. Well, I think we'll pass on that one. Trevor says, in your history of dueling, what is your most favorite fight? And this is for both of you.
So I'm going to be sappy. On our YouTube page, this is our third most popular video called First Duel. That is where instead of a first dance with my wife, we did a first lightsaber fight. After that, there would be West Virginia PopCon Tournament Encore Part 2, where, I took a strike to the knee and proposed. So those were some of my favorites. Another one of my favorites that was more recent than that wasn't being all sappy was probably in the Blade Match tournament end of the year that we just did, where I was fighting Lady Malice, because with our battle chemistry, I knew I could go full speed. I can use my staff. I didn't have to hold back anything, and I knew that she would be fine. So that was probably one of my favorite fights, just because I was able to put everything out there and not have to think about my partner and if my partner could keep up or anything like that. Just because of the amount of years that we've had dueling each other. They talk about battle, you hear about battle chemistry, and it's a true thing.
Okay. Faye Norton says, so sweet. Cobalt Bald Eagle's more pragmatic. Pro tip: if you do a wife wins always.
And yet he has a higher blade match average score than I do.
If
So
we
what
remember,
was your-
General Atin and Lady Malice aren't married.
This is
They
true.
hate each other.
So what was your Lady Malice? What was your most memorable?
Good luck topping me.
That's so hard. I guess one that immediately comes to mind is back in. Oh, we sound like old people. Everything's back in. What year was the first Legion Invitational? Maybe like 2018 or so.
2018. Yeah, it was 2018.
But it was a multi-group lightsaber tournament. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of logistics that go into people with different training systems being able to compete against each other. And I fought one of the former leaders of a group in that area who was really good. I fought a bunch of other top duelists from different lightsaber groups. So just going through that tournament and ending up winning it at the end of the day was probably one of my favorite experiences.
Okay. What's this? What's this? I understood it. Raymond has shamed his species. We got to have a talk about that. So did you, okay, I'm going to ask, did you guys have a Star Wars themed wedding?
We did.
Oh,
Go on Instagram and type in hashtag Jeff, what is it? Jeff Tesh Norton wedding, I think.
oh.
Yeah. You can find all of
Yeah, I
our
believe so.
pictures. So we got married in the height of the COVID lockdown. So we just did like a little
Ooh.
tiny ceremony at first. But for our first anniversary, we had a whole big hall instead of, like he said, instead of a first dance, we had a first duel. Instead of like a sand or a candle combining ceremony, we had a lightsaber staff combining ceremony.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Star Wars themed everything. We had a costume contest instead of dancing for the guests
Oh, cool.
afterwards.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. So, any other questions out there, or comments, or
I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture from the wedding a while.
yeah.
I was already working on that.
Oh, okay. I'll let you do that then.
Let's see. Okay. After all these years, have you ever experienced where you felt outclassed by your opponent recently? Hello?
Sorry, my mic was off there.
Okay.
There we go. I was in a lightsaber tournament last year, fighting people from different groups, and I went through pretty well. Scores were good, and then I fought one of the top duelists from the Imperial Legion. He's their Grand Master, Aaron M. Pendragon, and that was just giving my absolute all. I just could not block fast enough. I could not keep up with him, and he deserved that victory. It was a tough fight. We tied and had to go into overtime. But it was just like, yep, you win. I can't keep up with that.
Okay. Let's see. Smaller purpose. Okay. Snow Pooper says, terrible when I have to explain a pun. The Brits used to add quinine to their gin and tonic to fight the effects of malaria. I'm going to the kiddie table now. I have shamed my species.
You've greatly overestimated our intelligence in understanding your pun.
Okay. Dalek says a Star Wars themed stream. Wrong universe for a Dalek. Dalek, we are so welcoming. Even Daleks are welcome here.
I think Lady Malice would like an army of Daleks doing her will,
yeah.
exterminating all.
Yeah, that would work. What kind of system do you have when it comes to apprentice to master?
So when you first join, you don't get a master, so that way I can see how you're learning and everything. Once you get to the next rank is where you start figuring out more of a fighting style. So I'll assign you a master. Usually it's pretty close to what your faction is, so I'm going to give a Sith to more of a Sith master, a Jedi to more of a Jedi master, and then also look at what class you are. So a Sith assassin, I'll probably give it to Lady Malice. A Jedi guardian, I'm probably going to take them as my apprentice. And they are in charge of your training until you have reached rank 5. Rank 5 is where you're the master. You've hit the top of the training. So.
Oh, I like your shirt, Lady Malice.
Oh, thank you.
Outer rim. Okay, let's show the picture here. And oh, that is
this is
cool.
This is actually during the first duel, and I was jumping towards Lady Malice there. So you can watch the full fight on our YouTube page.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to check that out. If you could put it into the private chat, your YouTube page, since in my technical difficulties. That is cool. Man, you got some hang time, General.
It surprises me too, of like just how much I can get some time.
Wow. Cool. Let's see. John Randall says, did you throw the lightsaber to the bridesmaids to see who would get killed or get married next time? I told you, we got some good, cool people here. Let's see. Basil never shames his species because Basil is his own genus of seagull. And then Pudgy says, Dalek D2. Oh, Dalek D2. He does look like an RT unit. Just attach a lightsaber to the carapace. I prefer Star Trek lightsabers. They're called phasers and they have infinite range. Wow. That kind of beats the purpose. When assigning people to train with, do you allow Sith to train Jedi, Jedi to train Sith, or is that a big no-no?
It's not common, but it definitely happens just because of who might be available to train. Sometimes one person might have 4 or 5 students and you don't want to pile too many more on. So to make sure everyone's getting training. But one thing that's really important for our group is we have a motto that we train as one, we learn as one, we teach as one, we fight as one, because we don't want to see things that are supposed to be fun and just for role play like Jedi versus Sith creeping in and people turning it into a clique or turning it into a reason to be nasty to each other in real life.
Okay. So you try and keep it as a family environment.
Yeah. And the goal is always to put on a good show for the audience. It's not to go out there and win. It's not to show how cool you are. It's to show what we as a group can do.
Okay. Which was one of the questions. Do you have someone doing the scoring during the matches, or is it just as you said, it's the show? It's not who wins, who loses.
Oh, we usually do keep score. And we try to remind the members that we're not keeping score just to show who can win the most. We're keeping score because it's something that an audience understands. They understand wins and losses. They understand averages and that kind of thing going over the season. So the scoring is more of a way to get the audience involved, get them rooting for somebody to win and that kind of thing. But we'll have one or two judges behind the scenes. We'll have our MC, we'll have our people doing the live stream. So, and sometimes it's all the same person who might also be competing. So behind the scenes, we're all kind of running around like crazy doing things.
Okay. Phantom Outsider, Phantom. Are disintegrations allowed in tournaments? I know a polar bear and might have access to a fully operational Death Star, possibly somewhere in this system.
I would like to formally invite that polar bear to come and be part of my team.
Snort, you got a job. Let's see. Luna says, I'm glad she didn't throw the lightsaber at the wedding. And Legata says, all for one and one for Lady Malice. Yay. See, this is why we needed this is why I wanted to get you to join us here, Lady Malice, because as you can see, you're as popular as the general there.
The validation is very important to me and will sustain me through the months ahead.
Oh, hello, Zarak.
I know. And
hello, Zarak, and welcome to King Dolphin TV. Okay, he says, love the Praxeum and hope they have another great year this year. When does your season start? You said it was getting ready to start.
We actually started our first practice this past Sunday. We're looking at a full year going all the way into about mid-December. So definitely going to be a busy year. Our first con is February 11th at DualCon in Charleston. And then from there,
okay,
it's busier and busier.
Okay. Yeah. And you go into the tri-state area, probably some Ohio. So, all right. And where can we find information on your schedule? Let me see. If you could put that out in the private chat.
we're still kind of figuring out a good way to post our event schedule for fans. Facebook's always changing, so you used to be able to tag all the events that your group was attending, but they got rid of that feature.
Okay, and the website is probably top.
Yeah, our website, it's been kind of on the back burner with our focus going into blade matches and stuff over the past year.
Okay.
But we always post where we're going to be on our social media. It just might not be for the whole year.
Okay. Dalek says, why don't I just replace my manipulator arm with a lightsaber? Cool.
Would be terrifying.
Yes, it would. Oh, and hello, Faye Clark. She says, Marcon is in May. There's usually a good amount of Star Wars there.
Well, you as a con goer should tell them, hey, it would be really amazing if you had a lightsaber group there, because we would love to.
Yeah.
Let's get that conversation going.
Oh, yes. Trevor says, and this is going to be the last one. How many games do you play at the practices? Or do you have games that you play at the practices?
There we go.
Not sure.
We do have games. One of them is free for all, so everyone's fighting against each other. We do some 2v2 versus 2. So you have little mini teams taking on in a free for all. There's one called Zombies, where one person is a zombie, and after they have 5 rounds, each round is a minute long until the 5th round. It's a all or nothing, where the zombie has to kill the humans, and once you've been killed, you become a zombie. So the humans don't grow; they are slowly dying out and turning into zombies. So the zombie team will slowly grow until it either takes all the humans or the humans are able to finally win in round 5, where they kill off all the zombies. Another one, yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's been one of the favorites. There's
Okay.
one similar to Red Rover. We call it Red Saber, that I remember had created, where you call one person out, then that person calls out who they're going to fight from the other team, and then you two just fight, and the winner gets to take the loser to their team. So it's kind of like war as well, where you're just eventually someone's going to win, but that can be a very lengthy game. I feel like I'm forgetting some games. We do one called Lava, so you get a nice small platform. If you go out of the platform, then you die because you fell in lava. You become Anakin.
Nah.
King of the Hill, where you just fight a line of people one at a time, and if you win, you stay, and you have to try and get through everybody. So we definitely have a few games. We've done Capture the Point as well, Capture the Flag, where you're trying to run and capture so many points and have the most areas before the time runs out. That one, people can get very exhausted because not only are you running around to like flip a cone or something, you're also having to duel someone that's trying to prevent you from flipping that cone or everything. So we have a lot of games, and seems like everyone loves it.
Okay. Hello, Rancor Steve. How are you doing there, sir? And the last question before I got a wrap-up question. And guys, please stick around after we're done here so we can just talk about how things went. Talking about cons, have you ever cosplayed dressed up in your cosplay? Wait a minute. Talking about cons, have you ever cosplayed dressed up in your Praxeum personas, been recognized and asked to get a selfie with?
I have been actually.
Oh, okay.
Every
Well,
now
of
and again,
course,
I'll be
Lady
walking,
Malice.
walking through a con, and I'll just hear Lady Malice, Lady Malice. Like, I don't know who you are.
Well, it's nice to know that are you the only female in the troupe?
I'm not the only one, but I'm the only one who's been a member for years who's been on the con circuit. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's
All right.
it's easy to stand out.
Okay. All right. And my last question to both of you is what advice would you give to others who want to get into this style of performing?
Make sure you have the time and energy to commit to it.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just like anything, the more time and energy you commit to a hobby, the more you're going to get out of it. So if you're only coming once a week, you're going to progress very slowly. You're not going to see the full picture. Whereas like if you're attending it twice a week and then you start coming to the events, you start seeing how people are reacting to the group. You start seeing how we're making difference because, hey, there's this adult guy over here that's swinging a lightsaber. I thought only nerds do that. Most people don't think me as nerdy until they talk to me, and then they realize how nerdy I am. But a lot of it's just make sure you have the time and energy. Those are the two biggest things that we ask of you, and you're just going to get so much more out of any type of hobby the more time and energy you do commit, versus just barely attending.
Okay. All right. And do you agree with that, Lady Malice?
Yeah, I'd definitely say be patient with yourself, because a lot of people come in and they're expecting to be able to do everything that the senior members do within a year. And that's just not how it is with anything, whether it's cosplay, whether it's traditional sports, wrestling, or martial arts. It takes time. So this isn't something for you to come in and in a couple of months you're whooping all your friends. It's a long-term commitment, and you're having to do a lot of things behind the scenes, exercise, and taking care of your mental health, and committing to the role play in order to really be successful.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, General Atin Call. Did I get that right, Atin or Atin?
General Atin Cal. Like Mandalorian.
Okay,
Atin.
Atin Call.
Yep.
Okay. And
That was a
Lady
nice
Mel.
little Mandalorian dictionary that I learned how to pronounce it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you both again for coming here for the interview. I think everybody enjoyed themselves. I know I did. Are you guys going back to Martinsburg?
We haven't heard anything from them yet, so currently we don't know.
Okay.
Well, yeah, our dates are filling up fast, so if they're wanting us, they need to hurry up and let us know, because
Well, I'll tell you what. If we get a Dolphin Con, we will make sure and invite you guys.
There we go.
Let's make Dolphin Con happen.
There we go.
All right. So now it is time for show notes. Yes. Lady Malice, Sandra says to be very afraid. Let's see if
Or try not to be too horrified.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes with Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun.
Yeah. See? Be afraid. So thank you all for coming over here to the chat to this wonderful interview. I'm glad you all were here. What's coming up in the next month? Wow, it's almost February. We have on the 1st, a week from today, Surfside Chat with Clobbering Times. We don't know what we're going to do here yet, but I'm sure Clobby and I will have a lot of things to chat about. On the 5th will be a special Sunday Just Cause Rumble, because we'll be out of town. Normally we do Just Cause on Saturdays, but this on the 5th will be on Sunday. On the 8th, we're going to have a musician. His name is Kamiron Miller. He will be he'll be visiting, hopefully doing the music. On the 10th, for Valentine's Day, keep this in mind, Lady Malice, we will have Ladies' Night in Just Cause. The ladies are taking over, and the guys will be
You'll be our slaves.
Yes, the guy.
Gonna be sorry you made me come on here.
The Dathomirians approve.
But yes, Ladies' Night. I'll be the silent one if that can even happen. On the 10th. On the 15th, to continue with the Valentine's Day theme, we're gonna Anti-Derivative Jill and I will be talking DS9 romances. And on February 22nd, we're gonna have Stephanie Janicek, Smuggler's Cantina. So a lot of Star Wars discussion starting with you guys, and hope you guys check out King Dolphin. I hope all of you who have come in, who are new, like, subscribe, and check out what all we do. We do interviews. We do Just Cuz, which is crazy stuff. We have the kitty table. Where are Claire's? Let's see. Where is it? Need to get Clobby to duet with Pudgy Hedgehog on show notes. Sung live from Carnegie Hall did Pudgy. Okay. For all things Dolphin Wars, please. And if you guys could type in the private chat, whatever link you want me to post out there for you guys. Okay, and that is the show notes.
This segment is brought to you by thedolphinboys.com. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. With Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun.
Let's see. Okay. Sandra, can you copy and paste that into the comments? It's hard to do on the iPad. Thank goodness for the iPad. It helped me get past this technical difficulties. I am very sorry to both you and the rest of the chat. So, but we made it through. Now I'd like to thank everybody who was here and made this happen. This was an interesting chat. We had great questions. My producer, Sandra, who also saved my life here. Thank you very much, honey. We had as our wrench team, we had anti-derivative Jill, we had Dalek 451, we had John Rendell, we had Legatus Legion I, the first out, and of course we had Snora Pupas .com. So Snort, the bigger than average polar bear. And then we had the chat. We had a lot of people here. We had Basil the Pumpin' Seagull. We had Charlotte. We had Cobalt. We had Dadman Walking. We had Lord Thoth. We had Phantom Outsider. We had Pierre Kelly. Point Curation. Rancor Steve. Please go to his channel. We had Sean Carter. We had Stuart Mitchell. We had the Goat Father. And then we had a bunch of new people here. We have Luna Artemis. Luna New. Any relations? We had
Sailor Moon.
Green. We had Green Quills Vids. We had Trevor Sprouse. We had Faye Norton. We had Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. We had Zerak. We had Faye Clark. Thank you all for coming. Please, if you're new here, like and subscribe. That way we can get, and let me know who I can come into interviews, because this is what we do. We ask for creators and performers to come in here and bring their stuff out to the world. So once again, General, thank you very much. Glad having you. Lady Malice, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
and keep us updated on your schedule. Okay, so everybody, oh wait. Question for Raymond. Were we to wait before asking questions, or was it okay we asked right away? This time it was okay because you saved my life when I was trapped in buffering hell. I got to have a talk with StreamYards. Guys, hope you enjoyed the chat. Glad you were all here. We will see you on Saturday for Just Cuz. And you all have a safe night. Stay warm, stay dry, wherever you are at. Good night, all.
Bye.
May the force be with you.